Hi, my name is Lynn Eddy, and I am going to be Joshua Price's interpreter. This is about the 7th time I've tried to make this video, so you know what? We're just going to go with it at this point and make the best of it, okay? The first thing I thought I would do is give you a little background of who I am so that when we meet in the fall and I'm in your classroom, you better have a better understanding of who this person is in your classroom. Again, my name is Lynn Eddy, and I have been married to my husband, John, for 32 years. John is an engineer at Ford Motor Company. I have 4 grown children, all of which are college graduates, for which I am very proud and thankful of. And at this time, we have 3 grandchildren, 1 granddaughter and 2 grandsons. I have a degree in American Sign Language and interpreting from Madonna University. And I have been in the educational field since 1998, full-time educational interpreting for the last 14 years. I've worked in the Bloomfield Hills School District, in Chelsea School District, at South Arbor Academy, and the last 5 years have been at Walker Winter. I have been Joshua's interpreter since 1st grade. Because I've been Joshua's interpreter since 1st grade, I have created a very special bond with Joshua and Joshua's parents. And normally by the end of the school year, way before the end of the school year, I've created a pretty good special bond with all the teachers. With the educational interpreting especially, you really do need to have that trust with your student. That student is relying that you are being completely truthful and honest about what their teacher, what the peers are saying, what they're saying good, what they're saying bad, and just being fully honest. So Joshua and I really do have that special bond for which I'm super, super thankful. The one thing that I've learned in the last 22 years of interpreting is all the teachers, every single year, have voiced to me, usually by February, of how scared to death they were when they found out that they were going to have a deaf student in their classroom. And the thing was, it wasn't the fear of having the deaf student, it was the fear of having an interpreter. So I'm really hoping this video is going to allow all of you to put all those fears aside and enjoy your summer. Relax. I think you're going to fully enjoy having Joshua, which based on the video you've probably just watched with learning Joshua and hearing what an amazing student he is, how smart he is, what a hard worker he is. Joshua is only going to be a joy. So a lot of you are probably wondering who this other adult is in your classroom, and I'm hoping this video is going to put a lot of your worries aside. You know what? I can give you, and I'll read it for you, what the role of an educational interpreter is. It says an educational interpreter provides communication access to students who are deaf or hard of hearing by faithfully and accurately representing the classroom instruction, teacher-student dialogue, and relevant sound information in the mode of communication used by the student. You know what basically that means? I'm going to do my very best professionally to make sure that Joshua fully understands what you as the teacher are saying and what his peers are discussing and questioning and asking. I don't need to explain to you as teachers how much learning a student does, not only by your teaching, but by hearing their peers' questions and the dialogue and all that their peers are discussing within the classroom. And so my job is to make sure that Joshua not only has his hearing aid and all the technology that is available to him, but he also has access to his second language, which is American Sign Language. Now, a lot of you may be saying, I get that, but how's it going to be done in my classroom? The one positive thing, we have come so far in America with having access for the deaf. And I know in the last couple months with COVID, all of you have been watching on the news, whether it's the governor or the mayor giving forward her speeches and the interpreters off to her side. Well, that's exactly what it's going to be like in your classroom. When you're up there teaching, most of the time I'll be off to your side, just like what you've been seeing on the TVs lately. Now, sometimes I'll be next to the smart board and you'll be next to the smart board. Really, it just depends on Joshua's needs at the time. There'll be times where Joshua isn't needing me up there. He's needing me more sitting right next to him. So it's just going to depend on where Joshua wants me at the moment. Joshua is a great advocate for his needs, and he's going to tell me exactly where he wants me to be positioned. I am sure Sue is going to discuss with you where Joshua is going to be sitting in the classroom. The majority of the time it's in the front row, but there has been talk about maybe putting Joshua more in the middle of the classroom so that he has more access to viewing his peers at the same time. So it will be a trial by error, but most of the time I'm going to be at your side. Now, with that, one of the, not problem by any means, but one of the things that you'll have to get used to is I know that you have been taught, and I fully agree, that in order to keep the students engaged, there's a lot of walking around the classroom, correct? That as you're teaching, you're walking. That is an area where you'll be able to walk, but remember, I'm always going to be next to you. We need to make sure that if you are showing something on the board, that if you can envision, if Joshua is looking at the smart board and he's seeing what's up there, if you're behind him, then he doesn't quite know where to look, right? So the hardest thing that you're going to be having to get used to is positioning yourself at the front of the classroom, especially if you're utilizing any materials such as smart board or anything like that. The other thing that you're going to be getting used to is not just quite walking around the classroom quite so much or quickly. You can walk. I'll be following you. Joshua will be watching us. What the hearing have available to them is that they're able to take notes, right? And you're walking around and they don't need to be looking at you. They can be taking notes no matter where you're going. They don't need to look at you. But Joshua is going to be having to utilize not only me, but you, your voice, and your lips. That's called total communication. It's utilizing your voice, lip reading, any visuals that you'll be using, which is a huge plus, and the interpreter, ASL. Now, with that said, there comes another fear and anxiety. My gosh, isn't that going to be disruptive? Always having someone next to me. Aren't the kids going to be constantly looking at her? The one positive thing is, especially in the first couple weeks, not only is it not disruptive, but I think because these generation of kids that are coming up are so used to visual, right? Their computers, their cell phones, the TV, that it's almost as though I am a positive in the classroom, especially in the first beginning weeks where they're nervous. Normally it'd be loud and disruptive, but all of a sudden they come in and they see this person standing there and then she starts signing. It sparks some of their interest, and the hearing person can be listening to you and at the same time gaining the visual cues from me. So it seems to almost settle them down. And then I promise you, within a week or two, I become invisible. They're so used to me that I'm nothing. I'm literally invisible and you are their teacher. So just put that at rest, okay? If I ever catch a kid paying more attention to me, I will give the little bit of signal like, hey, and I'll get their focus back on you. But honestly, it's never been an issue. If anything, it's only been a positive experience in the classroom. Now, the other thing is you might be just having some anxiety or fearful of just having another adult in the classroom all the time. Now, I'm sure a number of you have had parapros, very used to the principals coming in and out, observing, right? Maybe some of you have had student teachers, but there's still something different and a little anxiety provoking of having another adult there the whole time that isn't really helping you per se as the teacher. I'm not a student teacher. I'm not a parapro who's doing what you're telling me to do, right? So I just wanted to address that to put your mind at ease there. As I said, I have been in the educational field of interpreting for 21 years now. I could have chosen any field of interpreting, but I chose educational interpreting. That meant I had to get state certified in educational interpreting because I have such a huge respect for education. And with that comes a huge respect for teachers. You know what? I could have been a teacher, but that's one big tough job. And you know what? That's your field of expertise. And I leave that job to you, and I so respect that. So with that said, I want you to know the first month or two, I really take a step back. I take the job of interpreter as exactly as it's supposed to be. I interpret. I say what you say, I say what the peers say, and I do my job of interpreting. The first month or two, I don't even really communicate with the other students. I mean, if they say hi to me, I'm not going to be weird, and we need to build that trust with the other students. But when it comes to asking permission to use the restroom, asking a question about work, I really take a huge step back so that those students fully understand who's in charge and whose classroom it is. It is not my classroom. It is not my expertise. You're the boss of the classroom. And the first couple months, I take a huge step back and making sure all the students, including Joshua, are fully aware who's in charge of that classroom, and it's you. Now, as time goes, and the kids fully understand who's in charge, please understand that you are more than welcome to utilize me. If Joshua is busy working on his work, which he's such a hard worker, he will be. He catches on so quickly that normally after you've taught and he has work to do, and if there is any clarification that I can help him with, I do that. But then as I'm sitting there and my job to help facilitate the communication is done, if you ever want to utilize me to help answer another student who's struggling, or answer a phone, or take a student who's sick down to the office, please feel free. But I do the first month or two, take a huge step back. I do my job, and that's solely just to make sure that the classroom realizes who's the boss, who's the teacher, and it's not me. Now, I think I've touched base on a lot of the things that may cause anxiety or fear. We're going to learn so much as we go along. There are so many fun things with having a deaf student in your classroom. Name signs, and Joshua will be explaining that. This is Joshua's name sign. So instead of spelling, hi, my name is Joshua, last name is Price, the deaf community gives a name sign. I can't give a name sign, only Joshua. Only the deaf person could give a name sign. So at one point, a deaf person gave Joshua the name sign Joshua. That is his name sign. My name sign is Lynn, or Mrs. Eddie, Lynn. It normally has something to do with your personality, your traits, whatever it is. Joshua's is, if I'm not mistaken, Joshua also has a heart defect, and it went over his heart. If I'm wrong, Joshua will correct me. Don't worry about it. I would say it's because he has such a sweetheart. But Joshua will be giving you and the other students name signs, and they all love that. Even the teachers love that. The other positive thing about having an interpreter, a deaf student in your classroom, is having access to signs. For those who are visual learners in your classroom, sometimes those signs just really help them remember terms. And if ever Joshua thinks like, hey, this is a sign that might help them remember, or I do, we might put that in there to help them be able to really remember a term or a meaning. They're going to be learning about deaf culture. There's just so many positive things about having not only a deaf student, but an interpreter in your classroom. I am sure you have many more other questions. I'm sorry this has gone on kind of long, but if you have any questions, please feel free to call Walker Winter Elementary. They will get you in contact with any of the teachers that I've worked with in the past, with the principal. Please feel free to call them about working with an interpreter, specifically me. They've all worked only with me, working with Joshua, and I think you'll find that you'll be looking forward to it. I look forward to meeting each and every single one of you. I know this year is going to bring new trials. I don't know how we're going to be doing the whole mask thing, especially for me as an interpreter, you as a teacher, and they have to use our lips with masks. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I know Sue and the rest of the team are working on that. I have some ideas myself, and it's going to be a great year. I'm really looking forward to it. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you, and you're going to be thrilled to have Joshua in your class. Talk to y'all later. I hope this was helpful. Bye-bye.